What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of That Great Podcast. Today, we have a good friend of mine and mentor, Vince Perri. He's an entrepreneur, investor. Today, we're going to talk about starting, scaling, and hopefully selling businesses today, and we're going to go through all of it. So, Vince, welcome.
Thank you,
Great
Chris.
to have you on.
I'm
man.
excited to be here. This is awesome.
This is going to be great, man.
I'm glad that you finally took the path to do a podcast.
Yeah, man.
It's great. I love the name too. It is
Thank
a
you.
great podcast.
Thank you. So let's open up. I'm sure you're probably tired of going through this, but tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to where you are so far.
Are we talking life or are we talking
Let's go,
business?
Yeah, let's go professionally.
Professionally?
So, yeah.
I was a public adjuster, am a public adjuster for 16 years and serial entrepreneur. I have started a tennis academy, scaled a tennis academy. We did pretty well with that. I started an e-cigarette company. That failed miserably. Yeah.
Okay.
I started, obviously, my public adjusting firm. That has been very, very successful. And then I went all in on my YouTube show, personal brand, and that turned into like virtual products and courses and books and all that. And that's still going pretty well as well.
Nice. And so talking about that kind of entrepreneurship and starting the business and getting it there. So talk about a few misconceptions that people have about entrepreneurship and what that really entails.
Yeah, I think people want to do the entrepreneurship route because they want to really get the freedom, right? They don't want the 9 to 5. They don't want to be told what to do, where to go, so on and so forth. And they want to have that flexible schedule because they think maybe they'll work less.
Yeah.
And obviously, that couldn't be further from the truth. You actually work, honestly, when you're starting and you're scaling a business, until you become more experienced, what ends up happening is you get very much in your head and you think that you have to work all the time. Now, I'm going to tell you that being an entrepreneur, yes, you do work twice as hard than if you work for someone else. But I will say now, where I am in my place in my life and with my experience, I'm scaling a company now, I've managed to relax and really understand the flow and understand that you don't always need to be doing something. It is okay to stop, take a pause, hang out with the family, and don't worry, things will get done.
Right. And so on that, with respect to, I guess, the balance, is that something, I know, like for me personally, that was kind of the dream, right? Is some island somewhere and money just coming in passively, right?
The money tree.
That's many, perhaps decades away, we'll see. But in terms of finding that balance, would you say that, instead of that hustle, grind, is it better to try and have that balance in the beginning as well to try and avoid that burnout? Or does it really take kind of the first couple of years, you got to put your nose to the grindstone?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on your situation.
Yeah.
If you have no money,
Yeah.
you better get some fucking sales like ASAP,
Right.
and you need to focus on sales and you need to be making sales calls. And obviously, if you're running and you're scaling the company, you need to be running the company as well, and you need to make a hire for admin. So yeah, it depends on your situation. Thankfully, I'm personally in a situation where I still have income coming in, and I've got some cushion.
Yeah.
So I guess I can do that. But for the most part, if you're going all in on something and you've saved money for, say, 6 months or whatever it is, and you know that time is running out, you're going to be working long days, long nights, and weekends as well in the beginning to really get going. Because if you don't, and then, you just literally every dollar counts. It's pretty crazy. I remember when I had the tennis academy and people would just pay, a couple $100 for a month and stuff. And I just remember every single transaction was like, yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. No. And talking about that with actually going after it and trying to build something on the public adjusting side, it's completely different. I feel I had a couple ventures of my own before I landed in public adjusting, and the before I landed, actually just before, I was working at a kind of boutique marketing agency, and kind of I cold called them and I got a position there, kind of handling everything. Every sale I got, became the project manager for it. And so you actually mentioned it to me. You made the distinction. This was years later now when we met, intrapreneur versus entrepreneur. And, do you think that some people sometimes maybe get too hung up on wanting to own their own business and be an entrepreneur, whereas maybe they can fulfill that or scratch that itch in a business that's established?
Yeah, because, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you have the opportunity to work for an entrepreneurial company first, that I would highly recommend.
Sure.
Just because you get to learn at how kind of crazy it is. It's just very fast paced. A lot of decisions are being made, a lot of decisions are being changed, a lot of new things are being added, a lot of old things are being taken away, and it just happens very, very fast. I've got a couple of team members now, one in particular who has his own marketing agency as well, but he works basically for me. And I'm telling him all the time, like, I want him to pursue that, right? And right now we're launching this new company, and I'm just like, take notes. We do leadership training every 2 weeks. So I'm trying to really turn him into the best leader possible. He is a leader on my team as well, but I know he's going to eventually go out. Maybe he goes out on his own. I don't know, whatever he decides to do. But I want to tell him, like, look, what you're experiencing right now, like with what we're doing, is gold. Take notes. And he's like, dude, I'm taking notes. And but to answer your question, being an entrepreneur, that's like definitely, if you're commission based and you're a salesperson and you have to really nurture the leads as well, that's totally entrepreneur because you are commission based. So just like an entrepreneur, you're basically dependent on every sale that you get, and you have overhead and expenses, maybe not at the level of the business owner who's got everything else to handle, but you still have your own expenses and whatever sales role you're in, you have your gas to pay and all these things, and you have to manage those things. And public adjusting is a perfect example where you do not need, you know me, I've said it from the beginning, you do not need to have your own public adjusting firm, in my opinion, to be considered an entrepreneur, because we make just commission, man. And
straight up.
It's brutal. And so I when I worked for Key Biscayne Claim Adjusters, I hired my first admin. So it's like I was basically running my own thing and taking care of my clients and paying for my own marketing and networking and doing all of those things, that's an entrepreneur.
Right. And I feel like also entrepreneur as a title is kind of the action, and it is, self-defined. Entrepreneur always kind of struck me as like an attitude or an approach that you take, and that, like, if I'm entrepreneurial, meaning I don't have my own business per se, but I'm approaching the business that I work for or the business that I'm associated with, I'm approaching it as if it's my own. That's how it kind of struck me always. Like,
it's hard to find.
Yeah. I mean,
because nobody's going to give a shit about your business as much as you do.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Which is why which is where my mindset has shifted over the last couple of years, which is really trying to empower everyone around me, not just mastermind members and stuff like that, but really like my employees as well. Like, I want to try to do whatever I can to make you the best possible human as possible. Right. And I've really mastered aligning the company goals with their goals as well. And now it's almost a feeling of they're now on board this ship, and they do really want to scale this ship as much as I do. Right. Where I even tell them, I'm like, here's how much we're making on offer number 1. Here's how much we're making on offer number 2. Now, if we sell a business, here's how much we're making. So I tell them, and it was hard in the beginning when I first started with public adjusting and elite resolutions in particular. I always felt like the making money of the company was just, they thought that it was just going into my pocket.
Yeah, that's
right. You get that feeling.
100%.
Now, since I've been able to sort of, I'm never going to use the word master, but understand how to align the goals of the company with their goals, and the leadership training is a game changer, by the way, that I strongly recommend everyone do. Now they feel like when I tell them we make $3,000 on our initial offer, we make $500 a month on this second offer, but on this third offer, if we sell that company for $1 million, we make $100,000. And they're all now like this, which is interesting because it's not going into their pocket. They're still getting paid their salary.
How does that look for them? What is the...
There's bonus structures.
Okay.
There's benefits.
Sure.
There's also, they love to work for me for another reason, which is there's no vacation limit. So they can take vacation whenever they want. Everyone works virtually. I don't clock their hours. I don't clock their time. I don't clock their tasks. I just want things to get done.
Right.
And we have time limits. We have a lot of action items that need to get done by the end of the quarter, by the end of the month, by the end of the week, by the end of the day. And I don't care if you do it in 8 hours or half an hour.
Right.
Do whatever you want after that.
Yeah.
And we have very strict, you already know how much I feel about SOPs. So, for example, we have 2 admins. One admin is like operations, and my other admin's my executive assistant, and she has her hands in a little bit of everything. So my one operations girl, she's leaving my executive admin, I'm sorry, she's leaving for a week and a half on a vacation. And I just said, just make sure you get these processes tight. And then now the operations girl is going to basically be my executive assistant for a week and a half. But she's got everything already listed, ready to go.
Jump into the role.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, this is exactly what this is for. So let's talk a little bit about Elite, because I think I actually connected you with a referral. And as I was writing that message, I was like, holy shit, he actually scaled this up pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the field for over a decade, but Elite Resolutions is only 5 years old?
I think so.
Right?
I think so.
Somewhere around there. And
Yeah.
so, you know, and I got the figures wrong, but you scaled it within a very short period of time. And so kind of take us through, you've gone through some challenges as well. So take us through that ride.
Yeah, that was the best learning experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, I almost went bankrupt, which is weird, right? Because you would think you scale and you start making a lot of gross revenue, but you have to also keep up with the amount of claims. You have to keep up with everything that's going on. So you have to hire. And the very unique thing that about public adjusting that I think is the reason why if you could run a successful public adjusting firm, you could run any freaking company on the planet.
Yeah.
Your employees don't have to wait to get paid. They get paid every 2 weeks at the same time. This is the benefit of being an employee.
Right.
While as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you have to wait for the insurance company to pay. And you know what kind of battle that is.
Yeah, big time.
So we signed a ton of claims, which means now we've got a lot of operations and client delivery that we have to take care of. But the claims just weren't getting paid. And my account just kept going this way. And the biggest learning experience I would say that I had from there was more of a mindset thing where I was making good hires, but I made a couple of hires to very, very high, like I called them C-suite positions. I didn't have to make. And I made them because of a lack of confidence in my own leadership skills. Even though nobody knew it, you and I were talking like all the time back then. Yeah. You didn't know what was going on in my mind.
No.
And to you, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you probably consider me a good leader.
100%.
But in my own mind, I had this like weird lack of ability to do it, lack of knowledge, I hired a COO because I don't know operations. I hired a CMO because I don't know marketing. Mind you, I have a
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like,
and it was just all it was a fear of failure.
Yeah.
And just a overall lack of confidence. And we still did well, and we're still doing well.
Yeah.
And I just had to scale back.
Right.
And I had to fire a lot of people. That's another learning experience. I thought that everybody understood the situation. Not one single firing went as good as I thought it would go. Not because it was like anything bad, but they were all upset.
Of course. Yeah.
And I gave them all 2 weeks pay
Yeah.
to go find another job, and they were still upset.
And so this was happening. So just to kind of take it back a little bit. So you start Elite Resolutions. It's solo gig, maybe one admin.
It was just me and Tammy in the beginning.
Okay. And so you were just kind of handling your claims. You didn't have any adjusters underneath you.
No.
It was just you. Okay.
No.
And so when did you start was it an accelerated scaling, or did you kind of
It was slowly but surely. I didn't want to scale at the time. At my mindset back then was scaling big company means more work, less time with my family, and I don't want to do that. Limiting belief. And I remember my business coach at the time was like, that's bullshit. If you hire correctly, you're actually going to do less. Doesn't make sense. I don't want to do it. So I was with Milan at the time too. He was my marketing person. It was just Milan and it was just Tammy. It was the three of us. We'd meet every week. It was funny. Wow. And little by little, because of the YouTube show, adjusters started calling me. And at first I remember the first guy, I was like, no. And he's like, I don't care. I'm working for you. I want to work for you. And I'm like, but you're in Miami and I'm in Tampa. And he's like, I don't care. I want to work for you. I'm like, all right. So I brought him on, and then I was like, all right, let's try. So then little by little, adjusters started coming. With more adjusters, I wanted to provide the administrative services that I really didn't have. Like with Key Biscayne, I mean, Rich, I love him to death, but I did everything.
Right.
I did everything. In the beginning, when I started, his wife would help us like submit the claim. But after a while, I was like, dude, I could call the insurance company. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give out less of a percentage so that I could provide the administrative. And so then we started hiring. Kelsey was the next one. She's still here to this day. And then hurricanes hit. And then it was just like higher. What a shit show that was.
So you were more scaling out of the circumstance of you have so much work that you needed to.
Yeah, I had one adjuster that came on who was a beast, even before the hurricane. He was a monster. Everybody was like, how does this guy do it? And even when he came on, he was an apprentice with me. He was probably with me for about 2 years before Hurricane Ian. And he was a monster. That son of a bitch is bringing in, honestly, like 10 claims a month.
Wow.
Without a hurricane.
A storm. Wow.
So I wanted to support him because he was doing so well. So I think that's when I hired Kelsey. And was there another admin? No, that was pretty much it. And then the hurricane hit, yeah. And then we were able to contain it like that. You know, because I was still always giving majority percentage to the adjusters.
Yeah.
Like over 50%. So they still had to take the bulk of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't need too much admin help. But yeah, it was the hurricane. Definitely, it was like,
and then from there, it was like just.
Then it was insane.
And so once you did that, you got a bunch of claims for the uninitiated. We get the claim, right? And like you said, we don't get paid until the insurance company pays. So there's a big question mark.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a storm. There will be a payment, but maybe it's a very low payment. So you get all those claims. You've incurred a lot of new expenses. But then the claims weren't being paid, or they weren't being paid timely.
It was a mistake for me as well. Like I think I was talking to my good friend last night at Las Rosas, and he's running the show. And one of the first questions I asked him, I said, "Are you staying lean?" I think it's very important when you start. You have to stay as lean as possible, like to the point where you are supportive of your employees, making sure that you're there and you're supporting and. So long as you think that they could handle it, like try to just keep generating revenue as much as possible. And you want to just be profitable, especially in the beginning as much as possible to allow you to invest back in. Right. At least wait a quarter, 3 months to try to be as lean as possible. And then if you've got your accounts like set up correctly and all that, and you see that you've got a lot of profit, then you have the option, okay, I'll give myself a bonus, but then I'll take this rest of the profit and I'm going to reinvest it back into the company. That's when you make those decisions. You don't just hire, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a learning experience where I hired too much, too fast. Yeah, I had 1, 2, 3, I think 4 desk adjusters, each making like
salary.
Damn. Yeah, plus it was insane. Plus I had a manager. Plus I had a COO. Plus I had a CMO.
I remember you told me. What was you had said?
I forgot what it was, but it was a ton. Every month was like insane.
It was an eyebrow raiser. I was like,
every month was like what most people make like in like years was my expenses. And it was just like, I remember I was talking to somebody and he was like, how the hell, like he's in the industry and he's like, how the hell, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know, I'm doing it.
Right.
And I just was a mess.
So you cut that though, and so now we're out of that storm, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
How when you decided to make that switch, was it like how close were you? How close were you to tanking the company?
3 weeks. 3 weeks away.
How do you recover cash flow wise? Even if you cut expenses,
I have to get a loan out.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I tell people all the time is talk with my wife. We had a long talk. I'm like, what the hell? And we agreed that probably the best to just get a loan because I was hemorrhaging. I was hemorrhaging money.
For how long were you on that hemorrhaging?
Hemorrhaging?
Yeah, you were watching it just decrease. How long?
Mind you, I had a bookkeeper like paying almost full time like money. I had my COO who's a finance guy, and I kept telling them, I'm like, guys, this is not good. I see where this is going. How much time do I have left? Oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. We just need to close a few more claims. That's my fault, though. I'm not putting the blame on them.
Sure.
And probably for a few months, it was pretty bad. It was just I could just see it now. Like now I could see the account and I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And we're waiting on claims that we have no predictability as to really when it's going to settle.
Right.
So I went to the bank and I got a loan. I got a $100,000 loan. So what I tell people all the time is when you get a loan, like a business loan, like literally you get whatever the loan is, $100,000, literally direct deposit into your account. So it's like, poof,
yeah,
100,000. 3 weeks later, I was at like 83. So I was like
just
3 weeks away from
shit,
going.
Man.
No, it's fine because if I wouldn't have gotten that loan, I would have
Right.
been negative $13,000 or whatever.
Right.
And then now what do you do? You know, it's like now you got really difficult decisions to make.
Right.
So, and then I just had to start letting people go one at a time. I just looked at the roles, looked at what they were doing, and you just know.
Yeah.
And honestly, with every person that I let go, like we just got leaner and leaner, and we were just way more efficient
Yeah.
than the mess that we had
Right.
with all the people.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of been.
Had a big office in Sarasota.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
yeah, it was too much.
I still haven't gotten an office.
You
I don't really.
You don't need it.
I mean, props to the firms that have them. They probably maybe not have the cash flow to
Maybe,
support
maybe
it,
not. That's the
but
thing.
it's definitely, I think, for public adjusting. I just, my 2 cents. I think it's more of like a vanity metric. Like
For
because
most.
it's just not. It's not worth it.
You seen my office in Tampa?
Never been.
It's the size of this room.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
like,
tiny.
is it vacant most of the time? Like,
Yeah.
people are not in there.
No, I'm the only one that goes in there. I go once or twice a week to check the mail, and then I leave.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one aspect. So talking through now, you got through Elite. In the duration of that, because your channel is predates Elite, right? You had been doing that or did they start about the same time?
You're right. You're right.
Predated,
Before I
right?
went out on my own, you are correct. It was about a year, maybe 6 months or a year.
Okay,
It did start before.
So that started as, I remember you told me, that started as really a means of getting more commercial claims.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, well, because I read that book by Gary Vee, and I understood the power of content.
Right.
And I had already a YouTube channel,
Right.
like with my wife, a travel channel. And I was trying to figure out how I could monetize that channel. And then it hit me. Like, why don't I just start a channel for public adjusting?
Mm-hmm.
Initially, my target was going to be the consumer, but I just felt like it wouldn't have scaled in a
Yeah.
way because consumers don't really care until it actually happens to
Right.
them. And then I just felt like public adjusters would engage in the content much more. And also I felt, especially like probably like a month in, and I started to get the little comments and little messages, and I realized that a lot of public adjusters, when they start with public adjusting firms, have zero guidance. Like I did my first year, and I was lucky my second year when I went to Key Biscayne, I had a mentor, and all these messages I was getting were like, dude, your channel, I get zero help, I get zero guidance, nobody tells me how to do this, they just throw me out there, and thank God for your channel.
Yeah.
So then it became sort of like a little bit of a mission to be that, to be Richard, who was for me, to be that for everyone else through YouTube.
Right.
And it worked.
And so we had that going, and I don't know if we can probably go back through the archive and find those videos, but you've pivoted, right? So what was the impetus there? What kind of made you decide to shift? And really, it's a full pivot. You kind of moved completely away from that type of content and insurance.
It is, but it isn't, right? Because you've been part of the mastermind. You see that all I like to talk about is business.
Yeah.
I haven't wanted to really talk about claims
Yeah,
anymore
yeah,
for
yeah.
a while. And it was a great reason for the addition of Jeremy, right?
Right.
But I love business. It's always been my favorite part. The public adjusting was never my favorite part. My favorite part has always been starting, scaling, launching businesses, you know? And I've paid for so much coaching. I've read so many books. And I've experienced so much where I feel like I do have a really something to share for other businesses and entrepreneurs. And I was thinking for a while because of the industry and because of like the direction that I feel that it's headed, and also my 16 years doing the same thing. Last 2 years ago, a buddy of mine was been looking into acquiring just another company, AC company, like whatever. And I was like, okay. So we were going to partner up, and we started looking for a business, and we kept talking to these business brokers, and I did a little research on that, and I was like, this looks interesting. It just speaks my language, you know, it's just business.
Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, the first deal as a business broker that I did with my partner now, I remember we sat down with this owner of this irrigation company that he sold his business with us. And I just remember walking out of that meeting like this is like, I speak this language. Like you could tell, like he just starts off by saying, you know, my partner goes, why are you selling it? And he's just like, I'm burnt out, I don't want to do it anymore, this and that. And I just like started talking. Like I have zero experience in the business brokering field. My partner over here has like 25 years experience, and I did most of the talking. And me and the business owner were just going back and forth because I'm coming off the Elite thing and everything, and I could totally relate with what he was going through. And I was even giving him, I'm pretty sure like my partner was just like, what are you doing? I'm like, why are you selling the business? Don't sell the business. It's such a great business. Just hire this person and implement this and implement that. And my guy was just looking at me just like, dude, we're trying to sell this business. And I just speak the language, man. And he ended up selling the business anyway. Great business, but it just suits me because it's all about business
Right.
brokering, business acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions, exit advising. It is all about 30,000-foot view of how your business runs, and I love it.
So you mentioned something there about the industry on the insurance side and shifts, lots of changes. Most of all my business is based in Florida, but it seems to be like a national trend. Where do you, or let's start, how have things changed since you've started?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly, to make it like just the policies, just a lot of exclusions that didn't exist before, a lot of limitations that didn't exist before, more and more contractor right to repair, and then obviously the just crazy high hurricane deductibles. And then on the other side is, on the background, is the law changes. It's the people in Tallahassee just constantly changing things. The biggest one for me, to be honest, is the attorney fees and cost statute. That just literally, in my opinion, kills all of our leverage as public adjusters, a lot of it. So we can't do that anymore. And then I don't know if there's meetings going on in the background of Allstate and State Farm in particular that, hey, when there's a public adjuster on there, just give them hell. And, you could prove all the facts that you want. If they decide to say no, then what? And then you don't. And then at least before, you had the recourse in Florida of filing a lawsuit and telling your client you don't have to pay anything.
Right.
And we can't do that anymore.
Right.
So it just became, for me, it's become just very I felt like all I was doing was kicking and screaming in some of my emails.
Yeah.
And that I didn't like to do that anymore. Honestly, I've always been, I managed, when I started my career in public adjusting, I wanted to be like the I'm going to fight you on every single claim. And I realized that wasn't my personality. And then I eventually made it my own personality, which was just, I'm going to be nice, we're going to be cordial, and that's how I'm going to get what I want. And then when that now felt like it doesn't work anymore either, because they're just still going to send me to hell and they already have their opinion set out and they're going to make whatever decision that they want.
Yep.
It just became really, really frustrating.
So on that side, I've spoken to other public adjusters as well that have been doing it about as long as you, and it's kind of the mutual sentiment that it's just rough all around, regardless of whether you're just starting or you're in it 20 years, because it's such an incident-based business model. Like if you're going to do it right, there's firms that go fishing for claims and stuff, but if you're going to do it right, it's really not predictable. It's not, dependable. So for you, do you feel that Elite is kind of it's there, like you're going to always be a public adjuster, but it's not your main thing. And would you say that's kind of how any new coming a public adjuster is, like, definitely don't quit your day job, maybe keep.
Well, I've always said that.
Me too. Some are kind of go all in on it, but yeah, is this kind of are we in the era of public adjusting where it really isn't what it used to be in terms of earning potential, would you say? Have we
I was just having that conversation now.
Is that over?
I was just having that conversation now, actually, before I came here with one of my guys. Yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore. If you have big goals, I don't think signing residential claims,
you're done.
I just don't think you're going to achieve those goals. I don't see it anymore.
Right, because it would have to be a volume thing, but the thing is,
then you can't handle the volume.
Right. Well, there is no volume. How are you going to sign multiple water losses that don't have a 10K cap? Like the pool of those.
Well, that's the problem, right?
So
besides the fact that, get ready, I'm sure the 10K cap, the 10% cap is coming eventually.
Sure.
That's going to come. But that was the other thing, is that, I remember there was a moment where one of my last guys that came on, he's been with me for a couple of years now, that there was a moment where the guy was getting a lot of leads, and every lead he would go to, there wasn't coverage. And it really made me think, I'm like, holy shit, that's where we're at. Because when I used to go to a claim and I get calls every day, and once I was established after about 3 to 5 years, I didn't have to really do anything. I was just getting referrals all the time. And you could go into a house, and honestly, Chris, I would look at the policy. All I had to do was make sure it was an HO3. That's it. I remember there was a time, probably like around year 10, where now I had to see if there was a water damage exclusion. Now I had to see if there was contractor right to repair. Now I had to flip to the exclusion section to see if there was something there that, might, because there was a few claims where I filed and the adjuster would call me and be like,
Hey, by the way,
dude, you probably didn't see this,
Yeah.
but there's a 10K cap on that. And I'm just like, what? And then you got to now tell the client after hiring mitigation and tearing this out and tearing that out because it had just started.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, bro, I remember all I used to do was go HO3, we're good.
Good to go.
That's it.
Now I kind of judge it by the company.
Yeah.
There's
I never
companies-
judged it by
there's-
the company either.
Yeah. Well, if it's a Citizens, you already know what you're getting into, but there's certain companies that
Oh, the Citizens thing too was a disaster also, or like
Yeah.
here, 10K, or like that's so like gangster, man, by Citizens. Like we're just going to say, we're going to pay you in full if you use our people, but if you don't, we're only going to pay.
Strong-arming.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It just shocked me.
Yeah.
And you have nothing to do. You can't say anything. And I had times where I wanted to maybe use my platform to try to make a difference, but everybody I told that to was like, dude, it's all lobbyists, man. It's all money. At the end of the day, it's not about anything else. So I never really went that route.
So on that, in 2020, well, we're wrapping up this year. Let's say 2026, get ahead of it. What is the because public adjusters still exist until they legislate us out of existence or push us out through other means?
Yeah.
What is the success blueprint for a public adjuster? What does that look like?
I think it's got to be fire claims or commercial or large losses. I don't think there's
Multi-state, get out of the single state.
The problem I had with multi-state is that if you don't have an adjuster there, you're in trouble. Like if you're relying on contractors to do your estimates and to do your inspections, and you're the signed public adjuster, and you're in Miami, and the claim is in Ohio, you could run into problems.
What kind of problems?
Well, when I was in Connecticut, I was the only adjuster that was licensed in Connecticut, and I had a restoration contractor that did honestly great work. Like he did great photos, great exactament estimates. Like he did most of the work, and the fight that I would get in on freaking video calls with the field adjuster. Why aren't you here? You should be here. I'm like, I don't have to be there. And it was just a fight all the time. The restoration contractors were great, but they were also, door knockers as well. So there was that issue.
Yeah.
A lot of the damage looked really, really old,
Right.
which is something that you can't control. Well, you can, but it's tough. It's tough to control. So I believe if you go multi-state, yes, you can do it, but you have to make sure that you have an adjuster out there.
Or you're willing to go.
Yeah, but that's a mission.
Yeah.
I also believe, after trying all the different things, I do believe that the best business model, if you're not going to do the product I service and the recurring revenue, like if you're just going to rely on claims, I hate to say it, but I do believe, and if you're young, you can do this, the best business model is just giving your adjusters like 60, 70, 80%, in my opinion. And then you as the owner just work your own claims or have your admin. And then at least you get 100%, but you got to keep working your claims. If you want to just see what happened is I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to become the business owner, which requires now 100%. If I'm not signing claims, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not getting the 100%. And if I'm paying everybody, 60, 70, 80%, now like
There's not much skin on
there's
the
not
bone.
much left over.
Yeah.
So I do believe that's still the old school best business model
So
for a public
kind
adjuster.
of recruitment and
Let them be entrepreneur and let them be the entrepreneur. Like start them at, maybe you can start them at 50, but like give them 60 quick.
Yeah.
Get them to 70 within about a year. Let them chill at 70 for a while.
Right.
And then, if they're with you for the long haul, then, kick it up to 80. And then I think 80 is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
And now that's how I was. I never, that's how I was at Key Biscayne. I started at 60. I mean, the first company I worked for, I was at 33. So when I got 60, I was like chilling. And eventually, right before I left, I was up to 90.
Sorry, 33 fully licensed?
Fully licensed, 33%.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
But
that's
again,
fucking insane.
but in hindsight, he had the desk adjusters,
Oh, okay.
the estimators.
Okay.
He just wanted me to go sell.
Okay. All right.
But nobody really wants to do that. Everybody wants to, because
That's kind of a sweet deal, though. I mean, you
It
got
is.
bogged down on those splits, but
the
like
issue,
that,
but the issue I was having is I was building a relationship with my client, and I didn't know shit what was going on behind the scenes
Yeah.
in the claim. They weren't calling them; they'd call
call
me,
you,
and
right.
now I got to call the office. And I was like, I'd rather just,
I see.
And I was younger too.
Yeah. 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 So let's go into the new venture and again, huge props. What I've always admired about you is you kind of, and I'm trying to build this. I think it's a skill or a trait, but it seems that there's certain people, you included, that kind of whatever you decide to get after, you find success. And I didn't know that you closed a business sale already. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
How long had you been doing it before you got that deal?
It wasn't my deal. It was my partner's deal.
Oh, okay.
And I just sort of like kind of watched him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still props.
Thanks.
But talking about that, so when you're working now and you're talking to these business owners, they're trying to exit. What are some of the hangups that will kill a deal or just make it difficult to sell?
Yeah. So what I'm really passionate about is being an exit advisor. That's more what I'm passionate about than the actual selling of the business. So what kills a deal, honestly, is just not having your systems and operations, because the whole idea is there's two things. Number one, you want to make sure that your business is transferable. So like if I have my business and let's say you know nothing about public adjusting and I give you this public adjusting business, you should be able to figure it out just by looking at all the SOPs and all that stuff.
Got it.
And then owner dependency is a big one, but there was something else that I wanted to say too that I can't, I lost my train of thought because I was going to get back to that one. I'll remember. Owner dependency is another big one, because a lot of owners, I hear stories all the time where the owner will brag, I know everything that goes on here and I do all of this and I do all of that. And the buyer's like, yeah, I don't want to do that,
Because from the buyer, they don't have that. So how are they going to step into the business? They'll sink the business.
Well,
a horrible investment.
typically you have investment buyers, and then you also have like new time entrepreneurial buyers where they've been now looking at all this content going on about, the golden age now coming up of buying businesses. So you have a lot of people who are full-time employees that want to own their own business. And instead of starting something from scratch, they want to just buy one that's already existing and successful. And they're the last ones that want to buy a job. They'd rather buy something that's already sort of like a well-oiled machine.
Interesting. So there's employees looking to purchase businesses. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm trying to think of what you said the deal killer was, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No worries. So talking about scaling it up and the referral I sent you mentioned it. So this is one of those cases where you build a business and this business owner has literally started it when I was born. So so went through all the stages, full staff, scaled down, became more profitable on the books. But regardless of through all those, she is the
main thing.
That's
fine.
She knows fucking business like the back of her hand. But the systems, all these things that are in place are not yet in place. So what does it look like if you want to sell a business, what do you need to start putting in place so you can maximize that dollar?
Sorry, remember what I was going to say, and it's going to answer your question as well. One of the biggest things that you want to make sure when you're selling a business, when it's time to market, is that you lower your risk. We call it de-risking. When a buyer comes in, the more risk there is in the business, the less likely that they're going to buy.
What does risk look like?
Right. So something that's high risk is owner dependent, right? Okay. It's just risky. If there's outstanding loans that need to be paid or something like that, that could be a little bit more risky. So
high overhead?
High overhead, kind of because if you're not profitable, so like everything could be sort of related to risking, but that's just one of the things that you want to make sure. In regards to this particular business that you're asking about, I'm doing it right now with a roofing company. We already met once, and I'm just like, so how are your systems and processes? He's like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, okay, so we could start there.
Right.
I have another business that we're potentially going to sell, and he's got all that lined up.
Beautiful.
But he does everything, and all of his employees are garbage. So we got to work on that. So there's always something, right? Yeah. So that's high risk, right? High risk is also starting the M&A deal and not telling your employees. That's high risk because you better let them know, because if they don't know that I'm coming in to buy this company, what if they want to leave?
Might walk, yeah.
That's risky, right? So those are kinds of things. Obviously systems and operations, because that's what makes it transferable. But another thing that I was looking at, this one business that I told you that he does everything, but his systems and operations are good, is he's got over 200 5-star Google reviews, which is great. That factors in. Social proof. His website is killer. He gets a lot of bookings on his website. The community, obviously, he's got 200 5-star Google reviews, thinks highly of his company. And when he bought the company like 5 years ago, because he wants to sell it again now, he bought it, now he wants to sell it. There was 0 Google reviews. There was no website, no anything. So that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
The irrigation company I told you about, like this company you're talking about, 100% owner dependent. And I remember sitting down. One of the things that I told him in that initial meeting that I told you that I was trying to give him advice was, I'm like, just hire an operator. And he's like, I tried that, but I'm too much of a control freak, and it doesn't work for me. So I'd rather just let it go now that we're super profitable. He had over 1,000 5-star Google reviews.
Jesus.
He sold that business, although it was completely owner dependent, for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I was actually thinking of buying it. Because I told my partner, like, we were thinking about going into the business together, I'm like, dude, all we got to do is hire an operator. Mm-hmm. Like, he does everything. He is the owner, but he is like the operator. And he was paying himself like $250,000 a year. So $250,000. So I'm like, dude, we could hire an operator for $100,000 and you and I split the $150,000 left over.
Yeah.
Like, everything's good to go. I don't know. I didn't know at the time what the systems and processes were like, but yeah. So you could have something bad,
right?
But you could find a way to market it, which is why it's very important that you speak to someone like me before. Yep. It's kind of like public adjusting. You know, when we walk into a house and we tell the client, tell me everything. Mm-hmm. Like, don't hide anything. Yeah. Tell me everything, because I'd rather know now,
right?
So we could figure out how we're going to go forward.
Right.
Same thing with the selling of the business. Like, I want to know all your debts. I want to know all the skeletons in the closet. I want to know everything so that we could present it in a way that maybe it actually is beneficial. You know what I'm saying? We could market it correctly.
Right. And there's another aspect of that. And maybe there's ways to work around it, but like in that scenario with the one we're trying to work on, her position is, you know, she could hire someone, but then again, it reduces profitability, and this is her source, right? So how are in a business owner that's in that position where longevity, they've been in business for a long time, good client base, recurring revenue to that extent.
Nice.
But high owner dependency and not enough margin to not scale, but to scale your workforce, let's say.
So I can tell you, if she's not spending enough money, right? So when you evaluate a company, you take the profit and then you add things back, right? So you add like their salary back. You add any kind of discretionary expenses that wouldn't relate to the new buyer. You actually add that and then you put a multiple to that. So the more add backs you have, the more it's going to actually sell for. With somebody who doesn't invest in their company, we actually call them take backs. So if she's not investing in her company enough, we would have to account for that the new owner
needs to.
So instead of the add backs, you'll have also maybe a take back as well, because that new owner is going to have to actually invest money. So that could hurt
Makes
the valuation
sense.
a little bit.
And so there is where the exit planning comes in.
For sure.
It's a beautiful marriage there, because you can kind of come in on the front end, help them position it. How long do you think that usually would take?
This roofing company I'm working with now, we've got 1 year. Okay. So 1 year contract.
It's a contract. Oh, nice.
That's it. We basically, we meet every single month.
On retainer?
On retainer.
Jesus.
It's nice, right? And then we've already agreed on the retainer that once that year is up, that you're going to sign the listing agreement with me.
Oh my God, Vince.
And then, that's the way you got to do it, bro. You got to. The contracts are also very important. This roofing guy has great relationships with different contractors and different things where he gets his referral, but it's not on paper. It's just like us. Like as a public adjuster, we have all these referral partners, but we don't actually have it set in stone.
Yeah, and you kind of can.
And I don't even think we can as public adjusters, right?
I don't think so.
That's another thing that's annoying about public adjusting.
Lots of regulation.
Yeah.
How are we doing? Okay, so we got time. Public adjusting, is it a sellable business, do you think?
Apparently it is, because there's a lot of...
Yeah, I've heard of...
I keep getting emails.
Acquired,
yeah.
I feel like it's these VC firms, though, that just don't know the industry and they don't know what they're getting into.
No, they're no dummies.
I mean...
The VC firms and the private equity firms, they're no dummies. They know what they're doing.
So they've done enough research and it's still attractive to them? I
don't know what the deals are. Yeah. I'd have to look into it. But I would assume that if they were to come by Chris's public adjusting firm, that you would have to stay on. You would have to stay on for quite a while. And they can do one of two things. They can buy you out and then they pay you a salary, or they can do like a majority recapitalization, which is they'll take over 51% or 75% or whatever, and you keep a stake in it, which is not a bad thing. which is actually a great thing
Right.
because they inject money and experience to ultimately scale the company.
Right.
So that could work as well. But again, I don't know. Here's the thing is that you're getting emails, right, of maybe people that want to buy your company. That doesn't mean shit. Did you know that I believe it's like 65% of the Shark Tank deals that they agree to
Don't go through.
don't go
Yeah,
through.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Because once you start doing due diligence and you
Right.
start looking behind the scenes, you look at the industry, you look at
Yep.
their numbers, and you uncover all of these things, then there's no deal.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the Exit Planning Institute, I think it's 75% of the businesses you see for sale on Biz Buy Sell never sell,
Wow.
which is why the exit advising is so freaking important.
Right.
I've got one right now that's hanging by a fucking thread. I don't even know if it's going to go through.
In what way? The sale?
Yeah, and I've been working it for 3.5 months, and I don't know if it's going to go through. It's hanging on by a thread, which is why, like, and you know why? Because it's basically, well, that first deal we could count it. It's not really, it doesn't really count. This one's like kind of my first deal,
Right.
And I got to be honest, Chris, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so they told me, they gave it to me in the accounting firm that I work for, and they're like, here, sell it, and I'm like, all right, cool. So we just put it onto market. We did all these things. We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We had one meeting with the buyer. But I don't know. I didn't know at the time anything about it. Now I mean, literally, fast forward 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near an expert, but I'm way better than I was 4 months ago. And yeah, I mean, we didn't set that thing up the way we should. So like now the deal with the roofing company, this other company is a electrical company. I think he wants to sell like by December. Like he wants to put it to market December. So I'm probably not going to charge him anything. We're just going to, with that one, I'm going to make sure we have the clean books. I'm going to make sure we have this SOPs in an operations manual. I've got the spreadsheet and everything. So I'm going to use a lot of the stuff that I use that I send to you guys. I'm going to send it to all these people as well. And we're going to set the whole thing up nice, make sure the books are clean, all the financials, all the ad backs, everything like that. I might even get a certified valuation. Like I'm going to make sure it's set up right. This way I know that the deal can close.
And I love that there seems to be an overlap in the positioning, because as public adjusters, a lot of it is presenting and positioning the claim, right? And we're basically just spearheading, quarterbacking.
For sure,
It's
same thing.
the same thing. You're spearheading and positioning the company in a way to maximize that payout.
And I didn't answer your question. If your business model is the one I said of paying your adjusters 60, 70, 80%, they're strictly commission, they're independent contractors, I don't think it's very sellable. You're not going to get a great multiple if you do sell it. I get lucky if you get 2x, right? So if you're like, if you're an SDE or EBITDA of say $100,000, like good luck selling it for $200,000.
Right. And you actually posted something that was interesting, maybe for everyone to consider. So you did this morning. It was about VC, like kind of like cash infusion, where you can kind of stagger your payout.
Oh,
Talk a little bit about
two,
that.
3 bites of the apple?
Yeah, that was very interesting. Talk a little bit about that.
Before I get to that, I'll tell you that you can definitely sell your public adjusting firm for a lot of money if you implement the business model that I've tried to teach you guys.
Sure.
Which is selling your claim package, having some kind of recurring revenue. If you do that, now you're turning it into a legitimate business. That's going to separate you obviously from every other public adjusting firm, and that makes it sellable.
Right.
The 2 bites of the apple is what I was just talking about with the recapitalization. So like if a private equity firm comes in and says, hey, we like your business and you're a very integral part of the business. It's not reliant on you, but you're an integral part, because what happens is you want to keep the culture is very important. If you're a good leader, all of that stuff sort of goes into it. And if they want to keep you on, if you find the right PE firm, if you find the right venture capitalist, if you find just the right buyer that is okay with not taking 100% ownership of it and wants to keep you on, dude, it happens a lot. There's a book that I read called What I Learned Selling to Private Equity. Great book. It's how I even learned about the SEPA certification. And he, I think, got either 3 or 4 bites of the apple, it's called.
Jeez.
Private equity firm bought him out.
And this is cash in your pocket as
Yeah,
the owner
because if
that's
they
doing
buy
it.
your company, let's say your business is worth $1 million and they buy you out at 51%, I mean, you just made $500,000, right? And they use the rest of the money, like you're basically invested with the rest of the money. And then what happens is in 5 years, you made $500,000, but now your business is worth $3 million.
Right. So you make another.
Now let's say you get 50% of that. So that whatever is that's way more than what you even got in the beginning.
Right.
And then you stay on still.
Yeah.
And then they sell it again. And then eventually it's your decision.
That sounds like the perfect scenario for someone that is owner dependent and like in the sense of, they stay on because they need to, in a sense, and you can kind of phase out as the business scales, and maybe you bring on people, and then you can just get out.
So the biggest surprise that business owners I can see get when I have this conversation with them, everybody thinks that it's I sell my business and I'm out.
Right.
There's like, I have a video coming out next week. There's like 12 options.
Yeah.
You could recapitalization, so you take minority majority control. You could sell to your management team. You can sell to your employees. You can sell to your family. You can sell to a private individual. You could sell to private equity. There's more options than that. And that's what I learned in getting the exit advising certification, that these are the conversations you have to have with the owner, and you have to ask them, like, what is it that you want to do?
Right.
So life after exit is a very, very important and touchy topic.
Yeah.
Because depending on the age, my target market, I've decided, is going to be millennials and Gen X. I don't want to target necessarily, like in my marketing, I'm going to attract it, but I'm not going to target like the baby boomers, for instance, because baby boomers, like they're going to be out. They want out. But because I'm targeting, just because of the social media stuff, to be honest, I just think that's,
that too,
yeah. Millennials in particular are like, baby boomers are, their business defines them, where millennials are like, you know what? Like, whatever, dude. I could sell it. All right, cool. I'll go start something else. I'll go do something else, you know?
Right.
And that's, by the way, that's, I think it's 35. I think it's 35 to 45.
Okay.
And then 45 to 60.
So these are relatively young founders, maybe a couple years in the business.
Yeah. So what I'm talking to a lot of like my age people. So I'm 41. So like I'm talking to a lot of like 40 to 50, and they're just like, you know, like the 55, 60, they might be thinking about retirement. But that's an important conversation to have as well, because most of them, I swear, almost all of them tell me, oh, I just want to go to the beach and I want to golf. I'm like, great, but you've been hustling and grinding for all these years. You're going to get fucking bored quick.
Yeah.
Or you're 65 now. If you break a hip golfing,
you
can't golf anymore.
Right.
So I sit with them and I try to help them find, like, what's your purpose? What is it that you really want to do? Because any entrepreneur knows we cannot sit down for longer than 5 minutes. It's like, what's the next thing? So if you don't think about that, and I don't care whether you're 60, 65, until you lose your mind, right? Like, you're going to be hustling.
Yeah.
So what are some of your options? What are some of the things that you want to do? And most of them, it's some kind of like nonprofit charity, give back to something, or maybe help out their daughter doing something. But they don't think about these things. They just think they just want to go golfing. And I'm like, that's cool. You could still golf and find some kind of passion.
Right.
And then also the dollar amount too. A big issue that happens is they retire, and they say they were paying themselves $250,000 a year from their business. And the amount that they retired, that they sold the business for, it doesn't equate to the $250 that they were making. They actually take a pay cut.
Right.
So if you don't do that math in the beginning, which is another thing that I do with them, is let's do the math. Then they get fucked. Also, speaking to your accountant, make sure you don't get screwed on the taxes, because you sell a business for $1 million, you're going to get hit hard. Are we accounting for that? So all these things that business owners...
Do those also fall in? I don't know the form or the thing, but it's like is it 1031 exchange?
That's if they invest in something else.
Right, so they can roll that though. If you sell your business,
then they don't,
you roll it in.
They don't necessarily see the money though. So, you know, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of conversations. I'm still learning. Like literally, Chris, I was up until almost 11 o'clock at night the other night, because what I do is I conduct, SEPA calls it a triggering event. And I sit down with the business owner for honestly 1 to 2 days. Couple hours each day. So not like 8 hours each day, but a couple hours each day. And I go through a lot of different questions, and it's like trying to figure out what they have to do. And I was literally studying it again the other night till 11 o'clock, because there's just more webinars and stuff to look at. And I just got to get better at it, because I have to make up for the experience part of actually doing the work. So I feel like the only way that I can do that is just by just hitting the books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been educating myself a lot.
No, it shows, man. Your content shift has been, and it's more general, in a sense of it's not specific to insurance, but it's so applicable to any industry. So
I've been thinking, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if I should separate the channels, maybe have somebody take it over. I don't know. The public adjusting part.
Yeah. Question. This is just curious. Where do you see yourself selling Elite? If because I mean, if anyone knows how to position the
No.
firm to sell,
No, the only reason why no is because I don't want to focus on that. I'm very focus driven now. I want to be focused on one thing, and I
Okay.
want to be focused on this now for a really long time.
Got it.
Where if I sell Elite, that's a whole process. It's a process of finding the buyers. It's a process of finding the right deal, going to the closing table, them looking at my books and doing all that. And then, to be quite honestly, I don't think it makes sense financially because
You still stand to earn more having it.
yeah, there's just like I don't have any expenses, barely.
Right.
Right now, it's just kind of still revenue that is coming in, not at an alarming rate as it was before,
Right.
but it's not going out.
Right.
It's paying my salary.
Stacking.
It's paying my salary, which I need right now. It's paying my employee salary, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have many expenses whatsoever. So I'm like, basically what I'm doing with my bookkeeper and my accountant, we're keeping track of the stuff that I use. The money that I use for Elite Resolution is helping fund what I'm scaling now. And we're just keeping track to making sure that there's an understanding of like
Where everything
the bookkeeping
is,
part. Yeah.
That's great, man. Well, I think we're running out of time here. I wanted to ask you, though, on another post, or I think this was maybe an excerpt from your podcast, and it really resonated with me. And I think you've known me long enough now you'll understand why. I don't know who the guest was, but he was talking about how this year and moving forward, the jack of all trades is going to be more successful. And in our discussions, I think you've seen that I'm kind of a man who tries to chase multiple rabbits and the like. But that really resonated with me because I've always loved that saying. And I've always kind of felt like that. Like my mom even said, because I joked, I had a run in with a law firm that completely shit the bed with one of my clients. I'll tell you about it off camera.
Okay.
And I was like, shit, man, I bet I could be a really good attorney just by answering the phone jokingly. And my mom's like, nah, you couldn't. You'd get bored. Like you need to do multiple things. I was like, huh, yeah, I guess so. So about that, is that going to the just ability to pivot, jack of all trades, meaning you're just flexible in the endeavors that you can go after? Or what does that really mean for a business owner, being a jack of all trades?
Well, if you phrase a question that way, I believe that you should know, like now in particular, like learn AI, right? You got to know everything about it. As a business owner, you should know every single aspect of your business, of what goes on behind the scenes and how it's supposed to be done. So that, I believe, is a good example of jack of all trades within your business. I do think that you have to be careful that if you want to be successful and you want to ultimately scale one thing to the next level, I have learned over the last couple of years, it is better to say no to everything else and just focus on that one thing. I have been saying, I got to be honest, I don't think you know this, but probably for the last year, this whole year, I have said no to every claim.
You personally?
My claims. Like people who have come to me for claims, I've said no. And I've either given them to my guys or just refer them out.
And that's because you don't want the distraction.
You don't want the
distract. Damn. Wow.
You know, so
Wow.
that,
But that's smart, man, because I mean, you're still, if it's one of your adjusters, you're still going to make it, and maybe so.
But I learned that from my business coach. You know, the focus thing is a big one. He's done a lot of trainings on that with us, where he talks about like one thing. Like you cannot be doing. I
struggle so much with that, man.
We all do. And it's that goes back to the power of saying no, and just telling yourself, really listening to your intuition, listening to your gut. What is it that you want to be doing? And it was a rough beginning of the year for me because I was so mentally clear. I've been so mentally clear. I've been so like focused and ready to just like dominate. And then, I could just, this thing was like inside of me with the public adjusting.
I felt it too. I think
everyone feels it, but it's so hard to make that decision when you've dedicated so much of your time.
Yeah.
Bro, I have a mastermind.
Yeah.
Like,
which is really transitioned more and beyond.
What do I say? Like,
enough,
I'm like, I remember having this conversation with my wife. I'm like, what do I say to them? She's like, well, I mean, you keep teaching what you're doing and just tell them the truth. Like, just like, you got to be straight shooter with them.
And you really have props to you because you could have been like so many other masterminds.
Because I knew the content was coming.
Right. So
I had a meeting with my team. Like I had a meeting with the adjusters.
Yeah.
And I told them, and then I had a meeting with my girls, and I told them too. And what I did tell them, though, because I basically went down to 2, I said, I'm bringing you with me. Just give me time. But this is the direction I'm going in, and I'm going all in. And people know me well enough. When I say that, they're like, oh, shit, okay, it's coming.
You literally
have. And I have. And I moved Mariana already, and Kelsey's coming in little by little. Because they're, again, my coach did a whole training on this. He did a whole training on transition, like either you transitioning in business or you're transitioning a product, which I guess, with larger scale companies, they go all in on a product. If it doesn't work, you have to make the move.
Right.
And he did a whole training on it. And one of the things that he mentioned is like, you have to keep your A players. If you're switching to a new business, you have to talk to them, let them know, and tell them that they're coming with you to just give you time. And the next day I had a meeting with the whole team.
And the good thing about how you've kind of built the team is they're sold not just on Elite. They're more than anything sold on Vince.
I hope so.
Leader.
I think
would
so.
Imagine. I mean,
I had a meeting. I remember June 1st. It was like June 1st, and with my marketing team in particular. That's Travis, Zenga, Jamela, the 3 of them. And I had a whole hour-long meeting where I basically gave like a fucking speech. I gave a whole, here's the plan. Thank God for ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Here's the plan. And
Yeah.
I gave it to them. Here's what we need to do in June. Here's what we need to do in July, August. And then by December, we're going to make this much money, which, by the way, fucking crazy goal that we're not anywhere near. However, I tell people, set your goals so high because it makes you take action on things that you would have never taken action on. We have hit almost every single thing. And then at the end, I had ChatGPT write a story for me as if it was December 31st, 2025, and we've accomplished all of these goals and the whole story. And then to end the meeting, I read this whole thing. And I can tell they were all just like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to get them all on. You got to get everybody all in, man.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Vince, we're out of time here, man.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I wish you lived closer so that I could have you back as frequently as possible. But maybe we'll set up a Zoom follow-up because there's a lot of other things we can go into. I want to open up the floor to you if you want to just share and plug your new service, whatever you want, man. Camera here and let them know.
Vince Perri, 16-year entrepreneur, your certified exit planning advisor, business broker, here to really help you in anything that you possibly need in your business and in your life as well. I hope you enjoyed the show. You could follow me anywhere on YouTube, Vince Perri Official, Vince Perri, YouTube, Instagram, and anywhere else that you have social media. Send me a message there. You do get me, and I will be happy to talk to you. If you are a business owner looking to sell your business from 0 to 5 years away, doesn't matter, I can help you.
Excellent. Vince, thank you so much, man. Guys, follow this man. He is the truth. Vince, thanks,
bro.
So much for coming.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.